quiet hum of the ship's engines has become like background noise to me now. It's constant, unchanging, unlike my situation. I sit in the cockpit, staring into the endless expanse of black, dotted with distant stars, each one taunting me with the possibility of a world that could sustain life. But none of them are within reach. Not yet. I don't know how long I've been out here. Days blur into weeks, weeks into months. Time doesn't exist in space the way it did on Earth. I used to think the silence would be peaceful, but now the silence is heavy, suffocating. Then I see it. The flashing red light on the control panel catches my attention. A warning. I feel a tightness in my chest as I sit up straighter, dread rising in the back of my throat. I know what it means, but I don't want to acknowledge it. I've been avoiding the numbers for as long as I can, pushing the inevitable out of my mind. But now I can't ignore it. I reach for the panel, my hand trembling slightly. The touch of my fingers against the screen brings up the status report. I swallow hard as the holographic display flickers to life. Food reserves, 6%. Water reserves, 4%. I sit there, staring at the numbers, willing them to change, to tell me that I'm not in as much trouble as I think I am. But they don't change. This is it. These numbers aren't a suggestion. They're a reality I can't escape. A knot tightens in my stomach, and for a moment I can't breathe. It's like a wave of panic has come crashing over me. The food. I've been rationing for weeks, trying to stretch out each meal as long as I could. I can feel the emptiness in my gut, a constant ache, but I've learned to live with it. But water? I need water to survive. Without it, I'll be dead in days. And there's no hope of refueling in this dead, lifeless part of space. I take a deep breath, trying to calm the rising panic. I remind myself that I knew this was a possibility when I left Earth. I knew the risks, but knowing and feeling are two entirely different things. My fingers tighten around the edge of the console, my knuckles turning white. How did it come to this? I left Earth with a purpose, a mission. A desperate mission, but a mission nonetheless. Earth, it wasn't sustainable anymore. Climate collapse, resource wars, the breakdown of society. There was nothing left for us. Only the rich and powerful managed to escape to the colonies on Mars or the moons of Jupiter. The rest of us were left behind to fend for ourselves until they came up with this plan. I volunteered for the mission, not because I thought I was a hero, but because there was no other option. I was alone, with no family left, no one to miss me if I never came back. The idea was simple enough. Find a new home, a habitable planet, somewhere far beyond the reach of the disaster Earth had become. I was one of the explorers, scouts sent out in different directions, hoping one of us would stumble upon a miracle. But now, sitting in this tiny metal coffin, hurtling through space with no destination, I wonder if I made a mistake. I glance at the reserves again. Those numbers. They're staring back at me, unblinking, unforgiving. What am I going to do? The sound of my own voice startles me. I've been alone for so long that I've forgotten what it feels like to speak out loud. I laugh bitterly at the thought. Alone. That's all I am now. Alone in space with nothing but my thoughts and these dwindling supplies. I take a deep breath, trying to keep the panic from setting in. There's no point in freaking out. That won't help me survive. I force myself to think logically, to go over my options. And there's really only one: cryosleep. I've avoided it for as long as I could, hoping I wouldn't have to rely on it. But I'm out of options. Without food and water, I won't last long enough to find a planet. It could be years before I come across something habitable, if I ever do. The only way to survive is to conserve what little I have left and enter cryosleep. The ship's AI is programmed to wake me if it detects a planet with breathable air, water, the essentials for life. But cryosleep is a gamble. I could be asleep for years, decades, centuries. I could wake up in a future where humanity doesn't even exist anymore. Or worse, I could never wake up at all. I shiver at the thought. The cryosleep pods were experimental when I left. No one really knew how long they could keep a person alive. It could be 100 years or 1,000. The thought of drifting through space, unconscious, while the universe passes me by is terrifying. But what choice do I have? My fingers hover over the button that will initiate the process. I hesitate. The idea of cryosleep feels like giving up, like admitting that I failed, that I didn't find the miracle I was sent to find. But it's not about pride anymore. It's about survival. I push the button. A soft, mechanical voice fills the cabin. Cryosleep procedure initiated. Please prepare for pod entry. I stand slowly, my legs feeling weak beneath me. The ship's lights dim as the cryosleep pod slides open with a quiet hiss. I stare at it for a moment, my heart pounding in my chest. Once I get inside, there's no turning back. I take a deep breath, then climb into the pod. The interior is cold, sterile, like lying in a coffin. I try not to think about it as the lid begins to close over me. My breath quickens, and I can feel my pulse hammering in my ears. Cryosleep will commence in 10 seconds, the voice says. I close my eyes, trying to calm my mind, trying to push away the fear that's threatening to overwhelm me. I don't know what will happen next. I don't know when or if I'll wake up. The countdown reaches 0. My body starts to feel heavy, my consciousness slipping away. The last thought that drifts through my mind before the darkness takes me is simple, but all-consuming. Please let me wake up. I drift in the darkness. I'm not awake, but I'm not gone either. It's a strange feeling, like floating in an endless ocean, just beneath the surface, neither sinking nor rising. And then, without warning, the dreams begin. At first, they're gentle, like memories playing softly on the edges of my mind. I see flashes of color, hear distant sounds. I'm no longer in space. I'm back on Earth. Home. I'm a kid again, running through a field of tall grass. The sun is shining, warm on my skin, and the sky is impossibly blue. I can hear laughter. It's mine, and someone else's too. I'm not alone. I look over and see my friends, faces blurred by time, but their presence is familiar, comforting. We're carefree, running, playing, as if nothing in the world could ever go wrong. The air smells like summer, sweet and full of life. I can almost taste it. And then there's Charlie. He comes bounding toward me, his tail wagging furiously, ears flopping with each joyful leap. He's a golden retriever, always full of energy, always by my side. I laugh and call his name, and he barks in return, his eyes bright and full of love. We chase each other through the grass, and for a moment, everything feels so simple, so perfect. My heart swells with a deep sense of contentment, a feeling I haven't known in years. It's like I'm being pulled back to a time when things were right, when the world made sense, when life was just about being in the moment, about the small things, the laughter, the warmth, the connection to those around me. The dream shifts, and I'm older now. I'm at school, surrounded by people, yet all I can focus on is her. She's sitting across from me, her smile soft and her eyes bright. My heart races every time I see her. I remember the feeling, that awkward, overwhelming crush that made my chest feel too tight, like I couldn't breathe around her. It's the kind of feeling you only experience when you're young, before you learn how to guard yourself, before you understand heartbreak. In the dream, I relive that first time we talked, my voice shaking hands sweating. She smiled at me, and in that moment, I felt invincible. I could do anything, be anyone, because she saw something in me. Something good. It's funny how such small moments can feel so big. I remember how she made me believe in the future, made me feel like there was something to look forward to. Love, happiness, a life together maybe. We're walking down a quiet street now, hand in hand. The world is peaceful, and for the first time, I'm imagining a future that feels bright. I'm filled with optimism, with hope. We talk about our dreams, about the places we'll go, the things we'll do. The world feels wide open, like anything is possible. And for a while it was. But then the dream starts to shift again. The edges of the memory begin to blur, and the warmth fades. The sky darkens, and the streets are no longer quiet and peaceful. There's a weight now, a heaviness in the air. I feel a coldness seep into my chest. It's subtle at first, like a creeping shadow, but then it grows, spreading through me like a sickness. The laughter fades, the smiles disappear, and I'm left standing alone. I can't pinpoint when it started. The world was changing, slowly at first, and then all at once. It was subtle, little things here and there. But those little things added up, didn't they? The optimism I once felt about the future began to fade. That bright, open world started to close in on itself, becoming darker, more uncertain. I dream of moments that feel like fragments. They come in flashes, quick and disjointed. I'm sitting in front of a screen, watching the news, feeling a sinking dread in the pit of my stomach. I hear voices, angry, fearful, desperate. There's chaos. Something is happening, something bad, and no one seems to know how to stop it. The future I once imagined starts to slip away, replaced by fear, by confusion. I dream of walking down streets that are no longer filled with hope, but with fear. People whispering, eyes downcast, avoiding one another. I feel the weight of it, the way it presses down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. I remember how helpless I felt, like everything was spiraling out of control, and I couldn't do anything to stop it. I'm older now, and that invincible feeling I had when I was younger is gone. I'm hardened, more cynical. The girl I once loved is no longer beside me, though I don't remember how we drifted apart. Maybe it was inevitable, given the way the world was changing. I feel a pang of regret, of loss, but it's dulled by the overwhelming weight of everything else. There's no time to think about love anymore. There's no room for hope. I dream of sleepless nights, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering what the future holds. wondering if there's a future at all. The world is different now, colder, darker. People are different too. The optimism we once shared has been replaced by a kind of grim acceptance. We were all just trying to survive, holding on to what little we had left. But even that was slipping away. I dream of loss, though the details are hazy. People disappearing, leaving without a word. There's an emptiness in their place, a void that I can't seem to fill. The streets are quieter now, the laughter gone. I walk alone, feeling the weight of it all pressing down on me, crushing me. The dream shifts again, and I'm standing in front of a vast, desolate landscape. It's barren, lifeless, stretching out as far as the eye can see. The air is thick with dust, the sky gray and oppressive. I feel a deep, gnawing sadness, a sense of finality that I can't shake. This is the world now. This is what we've become. I feel lost, adrift. I look down at my hands and realize I'm shaking. The dreams have turned into nightmares, and I don't know how to wake up. I want to scream, but no sound comes out. I want to run, but there's nowhere to go. The nightmare grips me. I'm falling now into the dark, endlessly spiraling into nothingness. The barren, lifeless landscape that was once so vivid has vanished, replaced by a black void. My chest tightens, my breath comes in shallow gasps, and I'm suffocating in my own fear. I can feel the weight of the world. No, the weight of everything pressing down on me. It's crushing me, pulling me under. I'm sinking deeper and deeper until I can't feel anything anymore. And then, just like that, it stops. A soft hum fills the silence, gentle and persistent. My eyes snap open. I'm disoriented, caught between the terror of my dream and the strange reality I'm waking into. For a moment, I don't know where I am. My heart races, my breathing is rapid, and my body feels heavy, as if I've been trapped under something for a long time. And then it all comes flooding back. The cryosleep, the journey through space, the escape from Earth. My stomach churns as I try to get my bearings. I'm not falling anymore, but I don't feel grounded either. I blink, trying to focus. My limbs feel stiff, my muscles sore and unused. I try to move, but it's as though my body has forgotten how. My mind races, grappling with the fog that clings to my thoughts, making everything sluggish. The hum persists. It's the ship's onboard system, softly pulsing to life around me. Slowly, I piece it together. The computer has woken me up. But why? My vision is blurry and my head pounds. I force myself to take a deep breath, to calm the chaos that's swirling inside me. The voice of the onboard computer, calm and monotone, cuts through the haze. Cryo sleep terminated. Time elapsed. 1,267 years. The words hit me like a freight train. My breath catches in my throat. 1,267 years. I stare blankly at the control panel in front of me, unable to process the magnitude of what I've just heard. It's too much. It feels unreal. I've been asleep for over 1,000 years. I left Earth, entered cryosleep, and now I'm here, in the future, far beyond anything I could have imagined, far beyond anyone I ever knew or loved. I try to move again, my body responding sluggishly. I feel a strange combination of numbness and pain, as though I'm rediscovering every part of myself for the first time. I flex my fingers, wiggle my toes, testing each movement, each sensation. It's overwhelming. I take another breath, deeper this time, trying to clear the fog from my mind. The pounding in my head begins to subside, replaced by a strange, surreal calm. I blink, focusing on the dim light of the ship's control room, the cold metal walls that have been my prison and my sanctuary for centuries. 1,267 years. The enormity of it settles in slowly. Everyone I ever knew is gone. The Earth I left behind is a distant memory, a relic of a world that no longer exists. I am alone, more alone than I've ever been. I was alone before, but now I'm truly the last of my kind. A relic from the past, awakened in a future I don't understand. For a moment, panic threatens to consume me. My heart races, my hands tremble, and I feel that familiar tightening in my chest. I don't know how long I sit there, struggling to breathe, my thoughts spiraling out of control. But then I remember why the computer woke me. It wasn't just to pull me out of the cryosleep. There was a reason. I swallow hard, forcing myself to focus. The ship's computer continues its steady hum, the soft, rhythmic pulsing, a lifeline in the storm of my emotions. Potential habitable planet detected. Proximity 0.86 light years. Habitable, a word that stirs something deep inside me. I was asleep because there was no other choice, because I was running out of time, out of resources. Now there's a chance, a glimmer of hope. The computer has found something. I stare at the display screen, my hands still trembling, but now for a different reason. There's something out there. A planet, a possibility, a future. I fumble with the controls, my fingers still sluggish, but I manage to bring up the scans. The data fills the screen in front of me, numbers and symbols that I barely understand. But one thing stands out. It's the image of the planet. It's not Earth, not even close, but it's something. The surface is blue and green, a swirling mix of land and water. It's bathed in the light of a star, a distant sun that glows warm and golden. There are clouds too, drifting lazily across the atmosphere, much like the ones I remember from home. For the first time in what feels like forever, I feel something other than fear, other than loneliness. I feel hope. I stare at the image, trying to process the enormity of it. This could be it. This could be my second chance. My hands hover over the controls, my breath catching in my throat. It's not Earth, but it's something. A place I can call home, maybe. A place where I can start again. But what will I find there? The thought creeps into my mind, unbidden. I don't know what to expect. The scans show that the planet has water, that it's bathed in light, that it could support life. But what kind of life? What kind of world am I heading toward? The fear creeps back, a whisper at the edge of my thoughts. I've been alone for so long. What if I don't belong here? What if I can't survive? I shake my head, trying to push the doubts away. There's no point in dwelling on the unknown. I've come this far. I've survived this long. I can't turn back now. I have to keep moving forward. I take another deep breath, the air cold and sterile, but it steadies me. I look at the planet again, at the swirling blues and greens. It's not Earth, but maybe that's okay. Maybe it doesn't have to be. There's a flicker of something inside me, something I haven't felt in a long time. It's not just hope, it's determination. I'm still here. I've made it this far, and now I have a chance to start again, to find something new, something better. I grip the controls, my heart pounding with something other than fear. It's anticipation now, excitement. I'm not sure what I'll find on this new world, but for the first time in a long time, I feel ready to face it. I feel ready to step into the unknown. As I plot the course toward the planet, I feel a sense of purpose returning to me. This is why I left Earth. This is why I entered cryosleep. To find a new beginning. To find hope. And now, as I steer the ship toward the distant star, I feel something I thought I'd lost forever.